where we journey deep into the long boxes, unearthing the classics, the hidden gems, and just plain strange issues of the comic universe. So grab a snack, settle in, and get ready for a spooky story of a great mind gone wrong. Since it's still that spooky season, today I wanted to talk about The Darkhold Ironman number 1, written in 2021 by Ryan North. This is a spin-off of the bigger Darkhold story event, but is also a standalone story. In that story, multiple heroes are battling this ancient being called Cthon. He's kind of like the Marvel version of Cthulhu. But anyways, while battling him, these heroes decide to read The Darkhold, and the book decided to show each of them something different, but dark and twisted. This issue is basically what Iron Man saw. If you're interested in knowing more about the other Darkhold issues, or even the main event, just leave a comment and let me know and I can cover those later. We start out at Stark Tower, and we see Happy and Pepper Potts, Tony's assistant, entering Tony's lab and approaching a suit of Iron Man armor. They both don't know what it is, because this takes place right after Iron Man built his suit in the desert and came home, I'm assuming. They're both startled when they see a pair of eyes peeking out through the eye holes. They quickly realize that Tony is still inside this suit of armor. Again, this is the suit that he built in the cave out in the middle of nowhere. They start taking this armor off of him, and he's still injured. And he makes sure that he tells them not to remove the chest plate, because that's what's keeping the shrapnel from reaching his heart. Pepper tries to get him to see a doctor, but of course Tony refuses. He begins to tell Pepper how he knows this new suit that he built isn't perfect, but it can be better, and it can be more than a weapon, and that it might be able to be used to heal people from injuries. He then tells Pepper and Happy not to bother him till the weekend is over and to give him some space to work. However, Pepper decides to stay and starts going over the files in Stark's computer, trying to learn as much as she can about the technology there to help Tony out with what he is doing. Eventually, she falls asleep, and she is woken again by Tony wearing the Iron Man armor. This time, he removes the helmet, and she can see that the abrasion and injuries on his face are now gone. Tony talks about how this could be a major breakthrough, and that it could mean he could produce suits that can act as mobile hospitals, healing all kinds of things just out in the middle of nowhere. To test the armor further, he requests Pepper to help him remove one of his gauntlets. He wants to see how effective it is at healing him, since he had multiple fractures in that hand. She releases the locks, and as she starts to pull off Tony's arm underneath it, it is seen to have no skin on it anymore. This reveal is just made me go, ugh, it's pretty great, but it's pretty gross at the same time. This freaks both of them out, rightfully so. And Tony begins screaming in pain, and Jarvis, Tony's butler, and Happy, his driver, both come running in, and they help Pepper restrain him as they eventually are able to put the gauntlet back on. And as soon as this happens, it's almost like the suit is beginning to get rid of all the pain he is feeling. He starts to calm down, and he tells him that he has a few bugs to work out, but it's not a big deal. They begin to remove the rest of the armor just in case, all except for the gauntlet and the chest. Tony figures that if he can reverse what the gauntlet did and have it regenerate the skin it took away, that he should be okay. He and Pepper begin to do more research into possible ways to do this. As they are working, Tony confesses that when he first built this suit, he realized that he wanted to be remembered for doing good for people instead of just for the weapons he built. And he also admits that he has feelings for Pepper. They share a kiss, but decide that there will be more time for romance to fix what's wrong with the suit and what's wrong with Tony. They both continue to work separately, and Pepper loses track of time. It is only when Jarvis brings her and Tony breakfast that she realizes a couple days have passed and that it is now Sunday. Tony appears, and both Jarvis and Pepper are taken aback by the look of Tony. He is back in the suit, and there is white fluid seeping from the cracks and holes in the armor. He asks Pepper what's wrong, and I gotta say, I love this reveal and how creepy Iron Man looks. Even the way the body posed makes it look unhinged and scary, almost zombie-like. Pepper rushes to his side and asks him why the hell he put the suit back on, and Tony doesn't even remember putting it on at this point. He doesn't realize that he's wearing the whole suit. Pepper does a real quick scan on the computer nearby, and finds out that they cannot remove the suit now because all of Tony's skin has been fully absorbed by the suit. She tries comforting him and telling him that eventually they'll get it off, and he just asks, why would I want to take it off? And this even freaks him out more. But then he's like, I might have lost all my skin, but I still have my sense of humor. We can still figure this out. So, he played it off as a joke. He then asks if Jarvis and Pepper can go make him something that will be more regenerative than the food that was brought earlier. Some kind of liquid sustenance, I'm guessing. They go to make it, and as soon as they get back, Tony initiates lockdown procedures on his lab and completely locks everyone out. Pepper uses a nearby terminal to scan Tony and the suit and finds out that he's continuing to merge with the suit and that it is mostly indistinguishable flesh, that his skull is completely gone, and that there are wires now protruding into his brain. The fleshy Iron Man tells Pepper that an iron skull is better, that it is safer and stronger, and then he limps off to a terminal and shuts down the entire building, cutting off everyone from seeing what he is working on. You can tell at this point that his mind has already been altered. He's starting to lose it. He's going the mad scientist route at this point. All of a sudden, the door to the work area of his lab opens. This allows Happy and Pepper and Jarvis to start entering the room. Just as they enter, the door slams back down, and this traps Jarvis and Happy inside. Once they are inside, the fire suppression system goes off, and this sucks all the oxygen out of the air and replaces it with CO2. This disables the two, and they are both grabbed by Tony and dragged deeper into his lab. Pepper, who is still outside, is desperate to see what is going on, so she has the idea to head to Tony's penthouse, and she's able to watch him on a camera there. She watches as both Happy and Jarvis are both shoved together into an Iron Man shell. Bones are breaking, and what's inside of both men begins to ooze out of every crevice. It's disgusting. The suit lies there motionless for a bit, but that's when she sees that what's left of Jarvis and Happy begins to stand up, walk out of view, and begins to help Tony continue his work. Pepper sits there and is still watching the feed that is now blank. Not much later, all of Stark Power is off of lockdown. It comes up and there's full power, all that stuff. And Pepper happens to look outside the window, and we see what Tony has been working on. There is another suit that's empty on the street, broadcasting to this group of people that are around how it can cure them of anything they have, and how all they have to do is get inside of it. She tries to stop and warn the people by breaking a window and throwing a chair down to the street below, but they don't listen, and she says that all it did was make them try to get into it faster. She hears screams of a person as they enter the suit, and then eventually the screams stop. And she thinks to herself how she hopes that there was only one suit. But as she's thinking this, she continues to hear more screams in the distance as people all over the city begin to enter these suits and turn them into fleshy metal monsters. So as she is standing there, hearing the city descend into chaos, she feels a heavy metal hand that rests on her shoulder, and we see the fleshy abomination that once was Iron Man behind her. And this is a really cool image that they created here. They got the Iron Man looks creepy as hell, and she is just beside herself. She's crying. She's horrible. She's upset. And we see that he escorts her back into the lab where he has a special suit just hanging up waiting for her. And that's how they end the issue. This issue is one of my favorites. It has multiple moments that just make you go, ugh. And if you are into horror or mad scientist stories, you definitely should check it out. My next video is going to be a little different. Instead of going over a single issue, I wanted to do like a character spotlight. So I plan on doing my video on the Queen of Halloween, Hallows Eve. It should be a lot of fun. If you have any comments or requests, be sure to let me know. If you could like or subscribe or share, that would really help me out a ton. I've only just started making videos, but really want to make this a fun channel for people to enjoy. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.